Hello, and welcome to another episode of eBay Scavengers. This is episode number 112 on ebayscavengers.com. Now, today we woke up and we went to our favorite thrift store that had just started to restock. They had been closed for 2 days and they were restocking, so it was like a big deal that they were opening on Saturday.
Yep. And we got a bunch of awesome things.
Yep.
Like, we're one of those buyers where we go in and the first thing I look for are like plastic tubs that are like in a pile somewhere, and I'll just grab one and we'll start filling it up.
Yeah, because we just fill those things up, basically.
But, you know, our nightmare when we go to these places, ever since we started doing the podcast, is that I'd be in one of our favorite thrift stores and I'd get some redneck guy start yelling at me, "I know you. You're the one that had the podcast."
Okay, how's some redneck guy gonna be like finding a podcast?
And then you know, the whole thing is that then the people who we buy from often will realize that we not only do we sell on eBay, but
we also podcast about pretty much everything we sell,
and that they can then go and look and follow the blog and look at our numbers and all those things.
So that's kind of our nightmare.
But what happened today was,
well, we were standing there shopping, and someone kind of tapped us on the shoulder and was like, in a real quiet voice, "I love the podcast." And we were actually in total shock.
yeah, I think she might have thought we were a little weird because we were kind of taken aback because honestly, we live in a little tiny small town, and I thought the last place anyone would recognize us would be in our own
small town, in our what we call our thrift store.
But she couldn't have been cooler, couldn't have been a nicer. She was being very low key and was
she
very
understood.
Complimentary. You know, she was great.
She understood that we were on the down low, like, trying to keep it.
Yeah,
cool.
And she says she's just been starting to sell on eBay, and that she found the podcast, and she liked what we did, and that makes us feel real good, and that's why we love doing this podcast.
So you know who you are, who we met at a certain unnamed thrift store in a certain unnamed town.
And if we see it's you again, we'll just like nod to you. And,
exactly, give each other the nod. So that was actually hilarious. I actually never thought we would meet a listener in our own town.
I was thinking maybe we'll like have lunch with her sometime.
Yeah, totally. Just, that would be hilarious.
We're glad to talk eBay, just outside of the
not in the store while we're shopping. Yeah.
Okay, so this week was a good week, and it's hard to say when we say bad week, good week. I think a lot of it is all how it feels.
Right.
It felt like a good week to us. Things were selling pretty consistently.
Some high dollar. We sold some high dollar items, several high dollar items to Asia.
Yep.
So that has been good. I like that.
But then when you look at our numbers, we made about $2,000, and that's kind of what we aim for each week. And remember, people who are new, this is gross. So this is $2,000 gross sales. That's before eBay takes their fees and PayPal, which is about 17% or so. So that's kind of what we shoot for, and that's why we put the numbers up on the blog, just so hopefully getting all of you guys to do the same thing, to put your numbers up and really learn to run your business by looking at your actual numbers, and that will really tell you if you're having a good or a bad week.
And the reason why we might have felt like it was a bad week is we got somewhere between 4 and 5 returns this week, which is an unbelievable amount of returns. Plus, like, someone wrote us today saying something we shipped they want to return, and it was all clothes that didn't fit.
Yeah, I mean, none of these things were things that we had done wrong. These were things people just had gotten. They decided the shoes didn't fit right. Or the clothes, and they just wanted to return it. They pay for the shipping, all good, but that's a lot of things. I mean, we normally sell about 300 things in a month, and we might get 4 things returned in the whole month. So
to get 4 to 5 returns in 1 week, it's just odd.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on with these people?
And it just felt, and that's a little demoralizing when you're a listing and selling, and suddenly it all happened within a period of 2 days. We would just get emails, I need to return this, and it's just...
It was like one after the other.
It feels like you're losing money, you know?
Well, you are. Well, you are in a way, because hopefully you'll relist the thing and it'll sell again, and you didn't lose money on shipping, and you didn't lose money on fees because you canceled it, so... But
I remember in the early days when people would try to return things, I would try to convince them to keep it. I don't know. I don't do that anymore. We're just like, we kind of just have text that we write.
It's just send it back to this address. We'll refund you as soon as we get the item. It's like you just, oh boy, yeah, you just can't fight it. It's just like, just do it.
Yeah.
So, and that's our policy. So if you don't have that policy, it might be different. But I bought 10 rolls of that reinforced strapping tape that has the fiberglass filament in it.
Yeah, I forgot who had suggested that on the blog, but it's really great.
I love that stuff. Like, I cannot believe I went 5 years on eBay without buying that stuff. It is expensive. It's like $5 a roll or something, which is quite pricey. But the awesome thing about it is, for any of you who kind of either have to custom make a box or modify a box, which I do almost every day, that really helps like keep the sides down and keeps, because it's really sticky and it's really strong. So I taped up quite a few boxes this week with that. So I highly recommend anyone who's, reshaping cardboard and needs a really strong tape to get some of that strapping tape, because I am like in love with it.
Or if you ship heavy items too, it's really good, because I remember back before we started to, it uses tape. I mean,
oh my God.
I would put these big heavy items in boxes on the porch to get picked up, and I'd always be afraid like, oh, this is going to split, like no doubt.
Well, and you would be like, go get the roll of tape because we need to keep tape every corner, every edge.
I mean, I'm now trying to convince you to buy one of those kits that has the strapping, whatever you call it, Liz. It's like these plastic strapping.
It's actual straps. It's like these I forget what they're made out of. This heavy duty plastic strap. It's kind of expensive for the kit, so I don't know. We don't ship stuff that heavy.
It's got like 5,000 feet. We'd probably be good for years.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It's really just for those really heavy items where, like, you're just afraid some guy's going to drop it and it's all just going to split and
burst.
Fall out.
Yeah. So I might get those. Those might be good for. We listed. I was going to tell people we have been listing furniture and stuff.
Yep.
And some of the furniture and large items are shippable. We have this one, it's actually a hand-carved totem pole, and it's 7 feet long. So that's, it's 85 inches long. So essentially it's going to be about 90 inches plus 5 inches around. So you can actually ship that on USPS. According to their measurements, you can't have anything that's a combined length plus girth of, I think for parcel it's 130 inches. So that actually qualifies.
I can't imagine them accepting that, because it just seems like it'd be so, like it wouldn't even fit in a lady's truck. But
I don't know how it would.
Anyway, so we have been taking photographs of furniture, and Ryan has been we've been putting it out in the yard, and we've been oiling it and cleaning it and photographing it, and then we put it in our storage. We've talked about it. We broke down about a $50 storage locker, and that's where like things like its furniture is.
Yeah, so that's this week I've been listing it and deciding which things that I feel I can actually ship.
And this is, an experiment. It's for us, a continuing one, because we want to see, we get these pieces of furniture, these awesome things for $10 and $20 and sometimes $50, but then we're pricing them at $300, $400, $1,200.
Yeah.
And, we've sold a couple pieces, and I mean, that's really, I think as you sell more and more, you start to realize like that you put as much work into a listing a $10 item as a $1,000 item.
Yeah.
So your mind just starts thinking, how do I get the $1,000 items?
Right.
They aren't as easy to scavenge and find, but
Yeah.
they're out there, and
Now, just to be clear, we haven't sold any of the new furniture we've listed.
Right.
We've sold 2 pieces in the past
Right.
that we listed. So I'm hoping that since it's it's springtime, that people are willing to do a little drive.
And then just to talk about like the unglamorous life of having an eBay store. I mean, I've been photographing shirts. I mentioned it on the blog. We've been collecting all these like men's shirts,
Like dress shirts, military shirts.
we have between 200 and 300 of them, and these are just things where we'd go to thrift stores or estate sales, and they'd almost be free.
Yeah.
There'd be a big bag of them. Some man dies, and they're like, take sold bag for $5.
Or at one of our thrift stores, when they have a sale, they're like, close our 10 cents.
Right.
It's just like, you can't help it.
So we don't get really excited about them, but as scavengers, we can't pass it up. But it's kind of on that edge of like feeling like we're hoarders because we're just taking it just to take it. So I was determined I was going to take all these photos. We're taking them up on just hanging on a hook on a hanger
with a white wall in the background. And I have steamed every single one of them with my steamer. And really I do, Jay hangs up about 20 shirts at night, and then at night or in the morning I will steam them, and it really doesn't take that long. I mean, I do it part of my like morning routine.
And so. I know some of shirts, men's shirts are a core part of its business, so I know it must work. So I'm thinking, even if we got $20 per shirt, and there's between $200 and $300, I mean that's $4,000 to $6,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, if that sells over the course of a year and a half, I mean that's a couple of mortgage payments. It's like $6,000. I mean that's like 5 months of a mortgage payment.
Right.
So that's how, as an eBay seller, we try and think, is that it's all about bulk. It's about putting up a lot of items.
Right. This week I emailed the local newspaper. They're actually in the next county over. Again, to get more end rolls, because I actually ran out of the 2 end rolls of newsprint that I had before, and I use it like crazy. I have been using that blank newsprint like crazy to pack stuff. It's great because there's so much of it, so you're just like, use as much as you want. You're not going to run out, but I did run out. So I actually emailed the newspaper and asked for 10 rolls, because that will keep me good for months and months. It might even keep me good for a whole year. So they actually made me pay for it. It was how much was it?
It was basically $2 a roll.
$2 a roll.
So we paid $20 for 10 rolls that could last us up to a year. And the guy couldn't have been cooler. He was
he was really cool.
Older guy. He took us on a tour of the
press. The newspaper press.
And he's real nice. And we got to watch them in action. And these rolls are actually, they might be 8 foot wide.
They're huge.
Or 10 foot wide. And so when we get it, there's only like maybe 2 inches on
maximum
that roll.
2 inches on the roll.
That's still a lot of paper.
It's a lot of paper, so it's great.
So we learned about this from reading some comment online. So, we've said it's before. Call your local paper and get to the
I emailed the circulation desk.
Yeah.
So basically, either you email them or just call them, because the person at the front desk is gonna know what you're talking about.
And it seems to be a very normal thing, and different people, teachers come in and get it for craft paper, and so
yeah, it's great for that.
So yeah.
So that is a great resource, because it's super cheap, or they might give it to you for free, and it's great for packing, and it's recyclable, biodegradable, all that stuff.
And that was an example where Ryan emailed this guy, and then he emailed us the next day and was like, "Come and get it right now." And it's about 45 minutes from our house. It's next 10 over. And we just made a day of it. We had that kind of freedom where we had plans to do one thing, and we were like, let's just do this. Yeah,
because basically I was like, if I don't get it today, I probably won't get these, So
we went to like the kind of a discount grocery store that we love to go to, where we get all the stuff that's close to expiration date. We filled up the car.
Every time we go to that grocery outlet, we literally, every time we're walking in, we say, we don't need to get that much. Let's just see if there are any good deals. And we end up just filling the cart.
Yeah.
But we have 2 chest freezers, so that's basically where stuff goes.
I mean, and the good thing is sometimes we won't go for a month or more because we have so much good food.
Yeah.
And then we went by, we rarely go, only to this one town. We go to a Goodwill.
Now, what's funny is I went to the Goodwill to buy a couple shirts for myself because we've actually been going to the gym, so I needed a couple like actual workout shirts. And so we ended up buying like $50 worth of stuff. We actually found some cool shoes. And
I mean, I'm sure some of you do this all the time. I mean, at Goodwill is really all about shoes are just like the bread and butter. It's like at this one place there were $3 or $4 each, and it's amazing. People not throw away, but they donate awesome designer shoes. It's amazing.
We found a couple pairs of Doc Martens.
Donald Pliner, polos.
Oh yeah, Donald Pliner. I always get those. I've never even heard of that brand before we started shopping, but I find it all the time.
And you know what? We've said it's before we started our business selling old shoes. I mean, it's really it just feels so homey when I'm buying shoes. I'm just like, shoes. This is how we built our business, because you pay, even at Goodwill, you pay $3 to $4 for a pair of shoes and sell them for 30 or
40 or more
dollars. I mean, that's a great business right there.
Yeah.
You could just sell shoes and that's it.
And we know we've interviewed people who just sell shoes. Yeah. So this week, eBay had a webinar about the new seller performance standards, which are gonna start happening in August. We've talked about them a little bit before, where they're going to do something instead of just the DSR ratings, they're going to do a defect rate.
I mean, I don't know. I've read about it. I've listened to people talk about it. I don't quite get it, but basically they're trying to broaden the standards. So if you just get hit by a couple of bad sellers that give you bad stars, it's not supposed to hurt you as much. So now they're looking at how often it's returned things to you. And,
it's like they're factoring in, your item not as described cases and like stuff like that. So anyway, there was a webinar about it, and you can actually watch the webinar afterwards. So I will link to that. And just so you know, when you click on the link, you will have to sign in to register. You just put your name and your store name and your email and stuff like that, and then it'll play for you. So you might want to check it out just to hear. I wasn't able to watch the whole thing yet because I was in the middle of doing something else, but I can actually link to that on the blog. Okay, so someone commented and left a link to this woman on YouTube who does videos called Treasure Hunting with Catherine. I'll link to it on the blog too, and she's interesting because she does mostly all Amazon retail arbitrage. But what's cool about her videos is she gets into every detail. She's even making the videos in the stores that she's shopping at, which is amazing. She's not just in her car. She's like, here I am at Target. This is what I would buy.
I mean, she's made, I think she just put up her fourth or fifth video. So she's still kind of new, and I think all people starting off, they're making epics. I mean, these are hour-long videos. So, they're walking around Target and picking things up and scanning things, and she's explaining all the ins and outs. Hopefully she can keep it up, but Ryan loves her because of her British accent.
She lives in San Diego, but she's British, so she's got this great British accent. I could just listen to her all day. So
Amazon.
She says Amazon. Well, we say Amazon, and she says Amazon.
Amazon.
It's so great. At first I was like, what is she talking about? Oh, Amazon.
But she also goes to flea markets and thrift stores.
And Nordstrom.
And yard sales. And it's weird. On YouTube, there's this whole subculture of, I guess they call them... when you show haul videos. She's got some of those, and I don't really understand why people dig those, because you just make those all day. Look, I bought all these shoes.
Jesus, that would take me forever because we have hauls like every day, like so much stuff. But so she's cool. I like her videos. Just she's very enthusiastic and very open about what she's doing and her story. And I just think she's cool.
Very down to earth. I think she was in a theater or something like that.
She says she was a theater major, and so she. It's funny because she laughed about it, where she's like, "Yeah, I majored in theater, and then it was like I couldn't find a job." No kidding. So I thought that was really funny. So I found, speaking of Amazon, I found another article on Gawker, which I read all the time. And they had an article about how Amazon in some cities are using like independent, like individual couriers to deliver your packages, not UPS, not the post office, just these individual people who work for these shipping companies in their own cars, like delivering your packages to you. I thought that was interesting because they were saying, it's really bad for people like that because they don't have benefits. They have to pay all their own gas and repairs on their car. So they're like not making as much money as they would if they worked for UPS, So I thought it was interesting that Amazon's just really trying to squeeze like the most they can out of delivery services. And plus, then they mentioned like, wait till they get drones and they cut out all the people that deliver everything. I mean, it was kind of like an aside,
It is interesting, and I guess we'll kind of see how it really plays out. But Amazon recently started to actually charge tax. So if you buy, I think if I'm being correct, some states were forcing Amazon, like Florida, to start charging tax on point of purchase. So if you go and buy a TV on Amazon and it's $100, they'll tack on Florida's tax of whatever 6%.
So it's if you're in Florida.
I guess so. I don't quite, I think that's the thing with internet tax is like, who do you pay for the tax if I'm in Florida as a buyer or if you as a seller is in Florida? And then like, is Amazon collecting the money and sending it to the state? Yeah. Or does the seller collect it and have to send it? It's all very confusing, but I guess Amazon's willing to do this because they're tired, I guess, of going to court. And I don't know. I feel like it's going to, at some point, get down to where anything if you buy online will be taxed, including us,
Yeah.
But we'll see. We're going to put a link on the blog, my obsession with retail arbitrage. We don't do retail arbitrage, not because, I'm against it. I just my scavenger brain hasn't quite been able to get my head on, like, how people are making its money and what they're getting. So, but I still like to read about it and hear about it, and there seems to be a lot of energy around it. Our friend over at Online Selling Experiment, he had a guest post from a guy who put up his numbers on how he's been doing the past 3 months. And he said the past 3 months, he's made about $6,500 in profit.
In 3 months, not per month.
Right.
It's in 3 months.
In 3 months. Okay. And this is where he's, I guess, buying wholesale or buying from Target, sending it to Amazon FBA. Then he works a full-time job, and then Amazon fulfills everything.
Right.
So it's this idea of, like, free, easy money.
Right.
But it's interesting. But then he's also clear about how much money he has to put up front. So it sounds like he's using credit cards, and in order to make that $6,500, I want to say he spent $20,000 on the merchandise, and he floats it on credit cards, and then he says, he pays the credit cards back, the same month, like right away.
Wait, he spent $20,000 and he's only made $6,500?
Yeah, well, but that's the thing about this is that it's a much different profit margin. Like we all talk about buying something for $1, selling for $30. It sounds like they're, buying things for $10 and selling it if they're lucky for $20, and then you have to subtract all the fees on top of that. So, and that's the thing, like, it's less work because Amazon's fulfilling everything.
But you're paying for them to do it.
But you're getting less profit per item, so you have to really do it in bulk. You really have to do it in quantity. And in order to do that, you have to have a lot of money to be able to buy all that inventory.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting, and he says he only spends 15 to 20 hours a week doing this. I don't know. It's just so, I'd really just love to, if other people are doing this like full on, I'd love to talk to you in the comments. It's more about it. I just wonder if it's really sustainable, because my concern would be if you start floating inventory on credit cards, and if maybe if you make one bad bet where if you buy a bunch of one thing, the price flips on you on Amazon,
right?
And then you have to sell it at a loss or can't sell it at all, and then you got a couple $1,000s of debt. I don't know. It's interesting. I just know that many of you who are listening to this are probably more is like us, where it's really a small investment. You go, you spend $100 at the thrift store, but then it just takes a lot of work. It's a lot of time. And you can make a big profit on the back end,
Yeah.
So it's just a different model. I will link to that guy's post and check it out and let me know what you think. Yeah, and just the last thing about this, about the whole retail arbitrage thing, I really feel like one thread through a lot of these videos and blogs I read about it is that it's this obsession with not working at all.
Yeah,
it's
doing
like
as little work as possible.
And a lot of those like guys that are trying to sell you $100 books or tapes or access to its websites, it's all about you're going to make its money without having to do any work. It's interesting to me, because I don't know why people are so obsessed with that. Like, I don't mind. I mean, I guess what we do work, but it doesn't really feel like the kind of work I used to hate.
Right.
Now it's just we're doing what we like to do. So I really wonder, like, these people who are obsessed with not having to work, I'd love to hear them talk about, well, what they do when they supposedly have all this free time.
Yeah, what else are you doing?
Are they playing tennis? Is it like, it's so...
Yeah. Well, there's that whole, like, the Tim Ferriss guy, the 4-hour work week. Like, yeah. People are... I get that. Like, I totally am like, yeah, I want to do other projects too. And I do.
But I remember when we lived in San Francisco and he first started coming out. And then we all started to laugh at him because he would show up at conferences. And, I mean, I don't understand that he doesn't work 4 hours. He works all the time. Like, he's a busy guy. Like, he's always... So... I understand it, but it's maybe more about multitasking. Maybe it's about, like being able to do more than just
work
what
more
you'd
efficiently.
Able to do. Yeah. I don't know.
It's almost like misinterpreted, where people are like, yeah, I don't have to do any work to make a lot of money. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that at all.
Right.
Actually, it's not like that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so anyway, we just like it to be flexible. So that's it. So Ryan, you bought something on eBay.
Yes.
And I saw that. It was like a top or something?
I bought a tank top for exercise, a very specific kind. It was $6.29 with free shipping.
I know, and I saw that pop up in our feed, and I'm just like, that is so insane to me that people sell stuff that cheap. So this person, whoever sold you that thing, with free shipping and eBay and PayPal's fees, I mean, they might have made $3. I mean, I don't know.
And they photographed it, they measured it.
It's just like, God bless you. It's
how much did they pay for it?
I mean, I really love people. I mean, I love deals just as much as its next person, but I don't know how anyone can run an eBay business with profits.
That's crazy. I know, it's crazy. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Or what is the point of putting something up for only $6?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is like it's recycling stuff in their house or something. But
this person was a hardcore seller.
Really?
I mean, they had tons of stuff up. Maybe it's just they're doing it in bulk. But still, I'm doing it in bulk, I'm not putting stuff up for $6.
It takes just as much time to put something up that's going to sell for $6 with free shipping as putting up something worth $40,
Right.
Or $100 or $1,000. So, okay, let's look at the questions we got this week.
So the first question is from Joe, and Joe asks, what system do you use to store your inventory, categories, letters, numbers, etc.?
Oh, Joe.
Joe.
Yeah, I mean, we aren't quite that organized. I mean, number one, we've sold, over 10,000 items since 2008, and we have maybe not been able to find, I think, 2 items. So we're pretty organized, but if you were to come over and try and run our store, you would not ever be able to find anything. Basically, our stuff is normally in boxes, in those plastic bins. And we'll just have a piece of tape on it, and we just put things by type. So kitchen stuff and
metal things.
Yeah, pots and pans.
Wood things.
Sports equipment, Right.
And then for clothes, we have a whole slideshow on how we organize, so we will link to that. But there are some things that we do number, like if we do shirt lots or fabric, we will number it by the folder number that's on our computer that I use, and then that will be the bin number as well. So that, for things that we store like that, we do have, numbers. Other than that, I mean, mostly stuff is just categorized by type.
And I think the reason why it just happened was, again, I mean, we started very small. We started with 100 items, and it just slowly grew, and our inventory system just kind of grew from there organically. And so we've just learned where everything is. I mean, the worst case it happens is it's not in the first place we think it is, so it might be in another category that we had thought it would be in. So
right, if it's not in kitchen stuff, well, is it wood? Maybe it's in the wood. So it can only be in a couple places.
Yeah, we never thought our store would be as big as it was. I mean, maybe if we did, we would have thought of some kind of like really smart a system from the get-go, like a numbering a system, but we find our items in less than 5 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes would be a long time to look for something. Yep. So that's always, when we have 5 things to get out of our storage shed and we get them within, just a few minutes, we know we've done a good job. Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is from Cash from Closets, and they ask, for lamps, when there isn't a brand name on them, how best to establish a buy it now price on eBay, and do you sell them with shades? So for lamps, number one, if the shade is awesome and fiberglass and like super good shape and vintage, yeah, I will sell it with the shade. But a lot of lamps I don't sell with the shades because a lot of times they don't come with them. Or they're broken. Yeah,
or, a shades after being in a yard sale or estate sale, by the time it's gotten there, it's damaged, it's torn, it's dirty. Yeah.
So for lamps, a lot of lamps are not marked. And I just go by the style. The material, the style, the color. Those are just things I look up. Like, most of the lamps that I see, on eBay are just... the title is by style. It's not by maker, unless you have like a Tiffany lamp, and it's marked Tiffany, then you'd be in the money. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we do with everything we buy. It's by style. What is it? What is it made out of? What era is it from? That's just how I do it.
Yep. As we always say, just do a search for sold items with the title that you imagine it might be.
Right.
And just see what other people have sold. And basically, I mean, and it's not a bad word, just copy them,
Yeah.
Just,
Or, you don't have to directly copy and paste their title. But, like, last night I was looking at some photographs I had taken, and one lamp was a cast iron lamp. But I don't know what it's called. So I was like, cast iron reading lamp. And it's actually called a bridge lamp. I never would have known that, but now I know. That's what it's called. So it's just searching eBay.
So a listener who says they are called I'm making eBay full time. They said, I've always sold by individual listings, but now eBay is offering a 2-month free trial for a store. If I set up a store, will I lose my feedbacks? Absolutely not. I mean, when you set up a store, you keep your same ID and it keeps all your feedback as well.
Yeah. We've always said, if it makes sense financially after the 2 months free trial, if you're listing a lot of items, then that makes sense. If you're only listing like 20 things a month, on auction, like, you don't need a store. Yeah. But if you're like you say, trying to make eBay full time, yes, you should get a store and you should fill that store with as much stuff as possible.
And, you can totally start it. It keeps it's your same name and feedback. And then if you stop the store, it's still, you'll get your name back with
it's the same
feedback.
name.
So, and, I see people, they say they're waiting to list until eBay gives them some free listings. I mean, I just, if eBay's a casual hobby thing, I can understand being a thrifty and playing by that game. But we would never stop ourselves from it listing on eBay because we're waiting for free listings. Because the fees to a list, especially if you have a store subscription, is so cheap.
Low.
I mean, that's like the least of my concerns.
You need to make some money.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a lot more money if you list stuff than on your actual 10 to 5 cent listing fee. Okay, so Crystal asks, how do you determine what era or decade your vintage clothes are from? And there's a really good website / blog post from, they're called the vintagefashionguild.org, all one word. And they have really cool resources on how to tell, when your garment was made, like different, types of zippers to look for. If the Union made label looks a certain way, it's a certain era, stuff like that.
And we'll link to that site from the podcast, but from the blog.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So it's pretty easy to tell once you know those features.
I'll just read its question out because I don't know the answer, but it's interesting just so we can all learn from it. Cash from Closets writes in again. I procured a stamp collection today. It's filled with 20 pages of stamps of all kinds. Do you have any suggestions on how to best sell this on eBay? I mean, everyone could be asking these questions all day long. I mean, the answer is start doing research.
Yeah, look on eBay.
Just do sold items on eBay and start typing in the names of stamps,
Yeah, do you have a rare stamp? I don't know, maybe.
But this is also one of those things where sometimes we'll actually go to a pro. I mean, kind of like what you see in those TV shows, go to a stamp store. I'm sure there's a stamp or coin store at your town. Take it to that guy or gal and just ask them, are these cool stamps,
Right. And just see what they think it might, be worth.
And that's, and most people are very glad to just tell you about the stuff they know because people are proud to talk about their, knowledge of things. And who knows, if it's worth something, maybe he'll, write you a check right there to make it easy.
Although every story I've heard, on Antiques Roadshow, when they're like, yeah, I got this appraised and the appraiser offered me $250 right out the bat. And then I decided to keep it. And the guy's like, I'm really glad you kept it because it's worth $2,000,
Yeah.
So that's always a good thing to keep in mind. But okay, so someone named Student Reseller asks, I'm new to the whole reselling thing and am confused about Amazon FBA and how pricing works. When you send in an item to FBA, are you listed as a separate merchant? By this, I mean the alternate price category saying new and used from, or does does Amazon sell your product at the main price offered on the page? I believe you're a separate merchant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're whatever your merchant name is at whatever price. It's just fulfilled by Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, just remember, we're more eBayers, so we don't really know. But from what I understand, there are some categories where you're competing against eBay. Like eBay actually has it in inventory that they sell.
You mean Amazon?
Sorry.
That's how much I can't even say Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes Amazon will actually be your competitor and you're competing against them. But it's most times they'll just be the picture of the item and then there's just a list of all the different people down there, and you're one of those people, and you're competing with people on price and on shipping and on your rating.
Think of Amazon FBA just as what it's called, fulfilled by Amazon. It's not sold by Amazon, it's just shipped for you by them, and people can buy it on their site. So it is a little bit confusing.
Yeah, but if you're trying to get into this they're a much better podcast than
than
this
us.
To learn, and they'll want to sell you all kinds of DVDs. And, it's awesome.
Oh, go to Online Selling Experiment. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He's not trying to sell
He's just talking about how he does it, so he's good.
This person, Dopamine, says, can you guys talk about your defect rate? And this is about, the new is rating a system. If you click on it now, they give you a preview of what your defect rating will be right now, but that's how it's going to start in August. And so he goes on to say, I was shocked to find that despite being top rated with 100% feedback, my defect is 6%. Starting in August, anything over 5% bans you from selling on eBay.
Really?
By the way, the 6% was due to me giving too many refunds. Now, from what I understand, it's not your return rate that's a problem. The problem is that if people are returning, if it's not item as described.
Item not as described.
So if they're returning it to you saying there's a problem and making you pay to ship it back, that's a defect. And that's what you have to be careful of. It's fine if you get people to return things all day long, as long as it's just because they just realized they didn't like it.
It doesn't fit, whatever.
Like we just got a bunch of returns, but none of it would count against our defect because we didn't do anything wrong. The person just decided they don't like that item. So what I would do is, number one, anytime someone says there's a problem that you did, if you really don't think you did, and you got to be really honest, you should call eBay and
dispute
it.
Yeah.
We've been talking on the blog about that, and we've talked about how you can get one person one day that will help you, and the next day that person won't help you. So we've even had people say they call several times and wait till they get somebody to. But, the big thing for us is that, we get things where people complain, and you know what? They're right. And we don't dispute it. We just learn from it, I mean, we were also talking on the blog where we were talking about like clothes and shoes. People were saying they don't put its measurements on their clothes and shoes.
That's insane.
That's how you're going to get these defects, like when people are going to return things. Because if someone gets a piece of clothing and all you do is show a picture of the tag that says XL and they say it doesn't fit, you're going to get in trouble because you didn't actually put its measurements, because XL could be anything. It varies between brands and stores. So, that's the thing that we try and do that I think keeps our defect rating down. We measure and describe and take multiple pictures of every item. And that's why it's a lot of work, and that's why people hate to list on eBay. But that's the only way to do it.
Yep, exactly. So where do you find that defect rate, Jay?
So if you just click on your its performance
in the seller dashboard.
Yep, in the seller dashboard, it gives you like a pop-up and gives you a preview of what your store and your rating will be like in August. And so our next podcast, we're going to do Oprah style, where we're going to talk about relationships.
Oprah style. I like that. Yeah.
And don't forget, you can always subscribe to us by email. Just go to ebayscavengers.com and it's on the sidebar. Just put in your email and it will come into your box every time we post. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. Some people have been complaining that the player on our blog doesn't seem to work properly. Well, if you just subscribe to us on iTunes, then it will
just downloads the MP3 for you. You can also see us on YouTube, eBay Scavengers, all one word, on YouTube. So we try to post the YouTube videos up as fast as we post the podcast.
And just to remind people, in case it's still not kind of known yet, every Thursday we put up a question and answer on the blog. So all these questions that you have, that's a great place to post them, because trust me, there's a lot of people even smarter than we are who are willing to answer those for you.
So stay tuned for the next podcast.
Bye.
Bye.